We're about delivering content that's insightful, inspirational, and inclusive, and also current as well.
I'm Di Lee.
And I'm Kathy Ngo. We've got a very special guest today, Ashleigh Wilson. Welcome, Ashleigh, to the DAWNCast podcast.
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thanks for the opportunity once again for allowing me to be part of it. This is amazing.
You're welcome. So for guests who are not familiar with yourself, I'm just going to read a little bit about what you are just for context. So you're a young woman in tech and I'm excited to hear about you're named as the top 10 Brisbane women in tech to watch. So maybe we can talk about that later. But also a neurodiversity advocate. Now, we are connected on LinkedIn and we've had several chats before, but we've never ever met in person. So hopefully one day we will meet. But I'm particularly interested in your work in the neurodiversity space and also with being a woman in tech as well. So it can kind of feel like a bit of a quadruple whammy, doesn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, and I guess maybe I'd like to go a bit of a backtrack as to how I got to where I am today. So, I was diagnosed with Asperger's when I was 3 years old. And so transitioning from, school life to professional working life, I didn't really think much of it. So I didn't really mention it to my previous employees about my diagnosis because I guess I was more worried about just letting them know who I really am. So I, in a way, put a camouflage on myself, which may not have been the right thing to do, but at that time I thought it was the right thing. And I came to Coder Academy and there was, it got to a point around about July last year where I was putting a lot of expectations and pressure on myself. And it got to a point where I kind of had a bit of a mental breakdown just because there was a lot I was thinking about. I thought I had to be, up here, where in the same time I was, kind of in that learning stages down here. Yeah. So that's where I decided to let my work know about who I really am, my diagnosis. And I was a bit more worried about, being seen as a different person. Right. And
Can you tell us? Can you tell Ashleigh what's Asperger syndrome? Like what display that you were showing or not showing for you to not actually tell your employer, and what were some of the I suppose issues around that?
Yeah, because some of us might not know the condition very well or have an understanding of it. I guess that's why we're having this conversation. But for those listeners out there who may not be familiar with it.
Yeah, so Asperger's, it's a form on the autism spectrum. And so for me, from my side of things, it means that I had difficulty with communication and sometimes interaction with other people. And I remember being in primary school that I liked things a certain way. So I remember I was talking to my mum about this a few months ago, and we're just talking about, what were my traits when I was a kid. And, part of my traits was I liked things to be straight. I was just obsessed with it. I didn't like things out of order. I found it really difficult at that time, just talking to people and having eye contact with people. Okay. And that's where, that diagnosis came in when I was 3 years old. And, back in my primary school days, I would always go to, there was a special education school in Sydney that I used to go to every year just to meet with my counsellor, with my mum, just to find ways in which I can be able to combat that. And when we moved to Queensland in 2001, again, I didn't really think much of it then. I kind of just continued my everyday life from there. But I still found it really difficult at times, especially, meeting new friends, having those conversations, trying not to, be someone different, just be my normal self. And then when I moved into, the professional working world, I still continued on with that until last year where I decided to let everyone know who I really am. And since then, I've been received so much support and so much of that welcoming factor across all areas, which I didn't think that was possible. And it's been really exciting. It's been an emotional journey since July last year. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited to continue telling my story, and that's where my advocacy for neurodiversity came into play. And I'm really super excited for it.
Yeah. Tell us what it was like sharing that with your boss, because I'm sure you would have been super, super nervous. How did you prepare for something like that, or the announcement?
It took me weeks and weeks to prepare for it, both mentally and emotionally. And I'm just trying not to think about it too much, but I still want to share the story.
Sure.
I still remember, we're having our weekly catch-ups. So every week we'll have virtual catch-ups with our campuses just to see how we're going, and just see what support that we can provide to each other. And I remember that when it came close to my turn, I can just feel the build-up just coming up more and more. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my time's about to come. I'm going to have to tell everyone, what's been happening in Brisbane, but also, let them know just about my situation.
Yeah.
And I remember just when it got to my time, I could just emotionally, it was building up, and I was trying not to get teary about it. And then when it got to my turn and, I said my normal thing, and then I let them know about my diagnosis. And I just remember I couldn't finish my sentence. Wow. I couldn't finish it. It was really, really difficult.
Why did you see the need to tell your employer? Was there a reason why?
I guess going back to when I had that episode a month prior, that's where I felt compelled that, I guess I was inspired to be able to let my employers know, but also to let my community know, which to me, that was probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life, especially within the professional work setting. But I knew that, I was ready to let them know. And I knew that I was in a very supportive, positive work environment, but also a very supportive community. And so I guess I really wanted to just let them know who I really was. And I'm really glad I did. I think it was probably the best decision I ever did. And it's led me to a lot of opportunities that I didn't think was possible, like speaking.
Yeah.
Public speaking back then terrified me, but now I'm embracing it and I'm enjoying it. And it's really nice. I consider that to be another platform to tell my story.
Oh, definitely. So how did you get into that public speaking? Because you mentioned that you were completely terrified of it before, but then suddenly you started doing public speaking. Is it because you I guess came clean about it, and then I guess that sense of empowerment and being in control of your life and your professional career made you want to do that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So how it all came about was there was Pause Fest was coming up in February this year, and we've sponsored Pause Fest many times before. Our co-workers have attended Pause Fest many times before I came along to CODA. And so the marketing team put the call out to let everyone know that, hey, proposals have come to Pause Fest. If you're interested in, submitting a talk, let us know. We can help you with your talk proposals. And I knew back then I really wanted to submit one, but I didn't know what. I didn't know what I was going to submit it on. And so, that's where I focused. I was brainstorming ideas, and then I, delved into my story, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what can I do? What can I talk about? So I was thinking, imposter syndrome, and, women in tech, those sorts of things. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking about, my personal story, but also just neurodiversity. And I never heard of the term neurodiversity before. Never heard of it before.
I was about to say, it's such a new terminology, isn't it? Neurodiversity.
It is, yeah. People focus too much on, gender and sexuality, and I think the focus has never, or up until the past year or two, has never been on neurodiversity. And just on that, like a lot of people incorrectly treat neurodiversity as a disability or in the disability category, but it's not at all. Like, do you find that, Ashleigh? Like people mistakenly putting you in that category when it's not? And how does that make you feel?
Yeah, well, neurodiversity for me it's broken up into two sectors. So you've got neuro, which is the brain, and diversity, which is a range of different kinds of. So to me, that's really important. I don't want to be seen, and we all don't want to be seen as, just one thing. We want to be seen as, a one-size-fits-all package. I think that we're all unique in some way. And neurodiversity, it's lots of things. It's, Asperger's, it's Tourette's, it's dyslexia, it's ADHD. There's a whole list of them.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate is that. And that is, the world is so diverse with so many individuals. And I feel like that we all have something to give back to, and we all have a story to tell.
Yeah.
It's just, it can be frightening, but once you get up and tell your story, people, we want to know more about it, and we want to create more actions to make the world more positive, to make the world more happier, because, that's what diversity means so much to me, is that it means it's creating that openness and that friendly environment that we can all be a part of something.
That's right. Being cohesive, being productive, being collaborative, I think is something that I think from my perspective is what we want to drive. Talk about you being the top 10 Brisbane tech women. That must be such a great recognition. And, what were you, what was recognised for? What was the work that was being recognised?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel really honoured for this. So I guess how it came about was I think it started around about the start of 2019. So by then I'd just been with Coder Academy for a year. And so, during my first year, I didn't know anything about, the tech community. I didn't know anyone about, the businesses or the people that were a part of it. And so I started to just start going to meetups, and I started talking to people. And what we used to do, we'll still do at Coda, is we run these sessions called Tech Bites. And so what Tech Bites is, we do it once a month, different topic. And I decided to, think, I'd love to moderate a panel. I've never done it before, but I want to do it. And we did our first one on, women in tech and inclusivity. And we had, I think there was three women. We had 3 or 4 women on board. And one of them was the lovely Sammy Herbert. For those who don't know, Sammy Herbert is just a power force in the tech community, not just in Brisbane, but I believe Australia. So she works in people and community for a company called Six Pivot. And, we've been talking a fair bit, and then she did a talk at DDD Brisbane, and she mentioned, some of the women that she finds really inspiring within that Brisbane tech space, and I was one of them. And then I think a few months later, she wrote just a Medium article about it, just who these women are, what they do, and why they were recognised. And so I guess for me, why I was recognised is just the women in tech. I love the women in tech space, but also, I love talking to people. I love that side of things. And I feel like that was that gateway as to what I love to do, and that is the people side of things. And the 9 other women, they're amazing, just amazing women, and so many other women as well. I think we all bring something to the table, many things to the table, collaboration, as you said, teamwork, community, lots of things as well. Yeah, so definitely. I'm really excited to be a part of that.
Yeah. And tech is such a big and broad subject. What specific area do you specialize in, or you've got a keen interest in?
Yeah, absolutely. So
coding? Just coding.
Sorry?
Is it coding?
Soon to be. No, my role is non-technical. I focus on the community, the people side of things, which I remember when I was in uni, I thought it was purely just tech related. So I did a Bachelor of IT in Information Systems. I finished a couple of years ago. And I remember during that time, I thought it was just tech related, just, coding or anything like that. I didn't think it was about the soft skills, the people side of things.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I love, just being part of that community, whether it's, mentoring, speaking, all sorts of things. And I love coding as well. So I'm just learning coding just in the spare time. I consider that to be a hobby. And it's really exciting. It's challenging.
Bless
but
you.
I love it.
Bless you.
Yeah.
So how can we, just while we're on tech, and maybe we'll loop back to the neurodiversity later, but how can organisations increase awareness of women in tech and also encourage more women to get involved with it as well? Because there's an obvious problem, like there's lack of representation. So what are some of the things that you would suggest?
Yeah, there's so much. There's so much out there, not just Australia, but just international. So coding workshops. There are some amazing, female coding workshops for free that's available. So there's quite a few that I've been to in Brisbane that I've attended and mentored. So you've got Muses Code.js, which they do free one-day workshops on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that's free. And She Codes Australia, they do HTML, CSS, Python, Django. They do lots, so many. Rails Girls is a really amazing one, and Django Girls. There's so many. Those are the ones that I can think of at the moment that I've been to. And it just creates that supportive environment. And for those that have never coded before or just, really keen to learn about coding or anyone at all, they can be a part of it. And it's so much fun and you make new friends along the way.
Look, I think in this day and age, I think as you've just listed and read out a list of opportunities for women in tech, I think there are more now than say 5 years ago even. I think the whole STEM push has really seen a lot of women, young girls in particular at school, kind of taking up those subjects, science, technology, engineering and maths, which is really great. So I think in the next 5 to 10 years we will see that we'll reaping rewards. Now, I think Kathy mentioned that you've really been stood down as a result of COVID-19. Is that correct?
Yes. As of only recently last week, myself and quite a few others have been stood down.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you in the beginning, like, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Like a mental health check. Yeah.
How are you going with that?
Yeah, really great question. So obviously when I found out the news, I wasn't okay. And it's okay to not feel okay. I just want to mention that as well. So, last week I wasn't okay. I cried quite a few days. And I think that helps me out a lot is if I just cry, let it out, and talk to people as well. So, I've been talking to my friends and my family and my network peers as well. So when I remember I was really scared posting just about my situation on LinkedIn.
I remember that post because I commented on it as well, and I thought, this is, unfortunate situation, but there's just so much courage in posting something like that, and well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I think we're all, in this time where it's uncertain. We don't know, what next week's going to be like, or tomorrow, or an hour from now. We don't know. I think the most important thing is to, to still we can stay positive, but we can also have those days, and it's okay to not feel okay. Just to talk about it, talk to someone. I've been having virtual coffees just with my network, and I find that really helps me out a lot, just to, take 5 minutes out of your day and just, talk, how are things going? What have you been up to?
Absolutely. So funny because I did a post a few weeks ago where I had a post that says it's okay to be not okay, and getting exactly like as you know, just to your point in terms of getting people to really share, because it is, I think everybody is really trying to make sense of what's happening with the future at the moment. I think everybody's kind of living almost week by week, if not even, it's not even, you can't even plan ahead for 12 months. Well, you can kind of, but it's really challenging. So how are you feeling now? Like what's going, you know, you've had that week of really, you know, as you said, we need to kind of let ourselves be vulnerable. You know, so where are you at now?
I bet you're watching Tiger King.
Today I feel good. I feel good today. I've had a really good day today, actually. I've been productive. I'm keeping myself busy. Not thinking too much about, you know, what's happening out in the world now. So, you know, I do little things such as, you know, cooking. Like I've somehow reignited my passion for cooking now, which is really good.
And a lot of people are doing that as well. Like they're suddenly taking up sourdough baking.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Insta stories where people are just baking bread now, just because they're able to, which is really good. You know, walking. I love walking now. Just leaving the house for an hour, just exercising. And only recently, just, you know, getting back into adult coloring books. I love it just because it just, you know, takes my mind off of things, and I can just, you know, just be creative. And another thing as well is, you know, learning new things. So there's some really great companies that are offering free training for free. So like Pluralsight, they have a month free where you can access any of their materials for free.
Oh, wonderful.
There's so many, yeah.
And so what now? What's next for you?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm working on just side projects in my spare time. You know, I'm still going to be involved with the community. So I run Brisbane Tech Newbies on the side. It's a meetup, and the name speaks for itself. It's for newbies, but it's for everyone to come along. So we've got our meetup coming up on 23rd of April. It's virtual, and we just talk about all things tech, from beginners to advanced, so anyone can be a part of it. But I also want to continue my advocacy for neurodiversity. So at the moment, I'm finishing up reading a handbook called Creative Differences. It's a handbook that was created by Universal Music UK, and it goes into a lot of detail as to, you know, little things that businesses can do to make their space more inclusive and more diverse and more accessible for everyone. So I'm finishing reading that and just note-taking at the moment. And I think most importantly is just taking the time to just reflect on myself, but also think about the future.
Could look
who knows how long. Yeah. Exactly.
Create the future that you want to see and you want to be in, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That's very important.
100% agree. I 100% agree. I think that's really important.
Yeah. Look, thank you so much for your time. Kathy, I mean, it's so great that we've got you on to DAWNCast. And if there maybe, you know, through reading those books, you can have some tips, design some tips and some hacks for businesses and employers as you move forward to post COVID-19. How to prepare their workplace and businesses for those workers, I reckon.
Absolutely. And that's something that I've got on my list of things, of many things to do for the next few months, is to continue that and to also spread that message, a really important message as well, especially during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final words before we go?
I guess I'd love to end it off. I guess during these time of uncertainty, just going back, it's okay to not feel okay. But also we're going to come out of this stronger and more brave than before.
Yeah,
we're facing something that's now a new normal. It's something that we've never come across before in many, many years. And this is very new to all of us. But I think as we're continuing and, we go through week by week, it's just about taking it one little bit at a time. It could be 1 minute or 1 day at a time or 1 week at a time. And I think as well, just it's important to check in with people, whether it's a text message, a phone call, or anything like that. Continue reaching out to people, because we're all going through this at the same time, and just a little support goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Very sage advice for all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you so much for organising. It's been such an awesome journey, and I'm loving that. This is amazing.
Yes.
Well, hope to see you back here again down the track. Ash.
Yeah.
Meet you in real life.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for watching DAWNCast today. My name is Lee.
And I'm Kathy Ngo.
So,
don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well, so that we can bring you more awesome content like this. Have a good day.
And we're always eager to learn and share your story. So get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you.